Hello everyone. Hope you all are doing fine. My name is my name is Rishika Garg, and I am the Operation and Strategy Head at GDSC NIT. So this session is gonna be really useful for you, provided you listen to it carefully. I'm gonna give you an introduction to open source. We'll also be learning about closed source and the difference between both. So next time if someone asks you, hey, do you know about open source? So you'll be having no problem answering this. Before we start, here's a quick question for you. What do you mean by source code? Now let's match it with my definition. Source code is basically any language that helps a programmer to develop various softwares. Here you can see I've pasted a source code of a web page. Similarly, be it game, website or anything we have on computer, we have a source code for it. Now let's move further and learn about what is open source. So open source, as the name suggests, something which is open to the community. Open source is basically the source code of a software that is open to the community for modification and redistribution, and it is free. In few words, it is a collaboration based software. So for example, if my friend created a game and he said, hey Rishika, can you play it and tell me what all other features that I can add, and he gives me the source code and I play it, I add new features because I also know game development, and since he's giving me the source code, I can call it open source contribution. So here are some famous examples. Android. Every next person uses Android. So this was created using open source. Mozilla Firefox. This is the second largest used web browser. Again, it is created by open source. I hope you remember this little penguin. It is Linux, the operating system, which can work on smartphones, submarines, rockets, anything you can think about. This powerful software is created using open source. Then we have Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, and the VLC media player. All these are created using open source. So open source community strongly believes that to do something prominent, we need a lot of people. So yeah, this is a little introduction about open source. Now let me tell you how you can contribute to open source. Making contribution to open source may sound a little bit intimidating. Don't worry. You don't need to have extraordinary coding skills or something out of the box. No, you can be a good content writer. Uh, I mean, if you know technical writing, you can contribute towards the documentation of the projects. Designing, if you know a little bit about designing, you can create logos and banners for the projects. Fixing bugs if you're good at coding, adding new features, any kind of contribution counts. uh, it's like adding new features, even organizing files is a huge task. So no contribution is big or small. You can start today just after this event. Still thinking why you should contribute? Well, it helps you build and brush up your own skills. There are projects which are created by people who are in the industry for like 10 to 20 years. So you can just go through their projects, see the code, and learn the best coding practices, that is, how to write clean code and all. You can brush up your own skills. You are getting the exposure, so you will be highly motivated to learn new skills also. You will get valuable work experience. Contributing to open source projects is like a real life work skill, so it counts. Learn people skills. So what are people skills? It's how to work in a team, the leadership qualities, how to build projects, etc. These come under leadership's people skills. So you will be learning that when you make contributions to open source projects. Okay, so the roadmap to enter the open source world, learn a skill. Well, I expect that most of you present here are from college, so you must be having some kind of skill. It doesn't matter if you are good at content writing and all, you can make contribution today itself. Version control, we've got your back. You will be learning how you can make contributions and all. Uh, at the end of this session, it's a hands-on session, so at the end of the session you will be able to raise your first PR. What is a PR is pull request. So yeah, you can take part in Hacktoberfest also. So we have covered your back here, and then what you have to do is find projects. You have to find projects according to their interests, and yes, you are ready to go, you are ready to contribute. Contributions can be made on the issues defined by the maintainers of the projects, or you can create your own issues. So that is I am going in depth of how you can make a contribution. We have covered this in a further session also. So, GitHub. There are various platforms where you can contribute to open source projects like GitLab, Bitbucket, etc. And one such platform is GitHub, a platform where you can make contributions to open source projects. This is a very famous one, and you will be learning more about it today, the basic operations, and after the end of the session you will be all set to make your first PR. So we have covered a lot about open source. Now let me quickly tell you what is closed source. If you are observant enough, you must have noticed that this image that you see here is is just opposite image, or you can call it water image of the open source logo. And yeah, the meaning is also just the opposite. In open source we have source code available to us. We can collaborate, we can redistribute the code, we can make modification, but in this case we are not having the source code. It is the proprietary software. In closed source, the software is a finished product available for the end users, and there is no scope for making changes to the source code. That is, the source code is not available to you. You are just utilizing its services. For example, we have Apple iOS. Yes, we have Apple iOS and Microsoft Windows, McAfee, and Photoshop. You can just edit your pictures here. You can secure your computer. You can work on this uh, operating system, but you cannot make changes to its code. So this is called closed source. So we have covered open source and closed source. Let's quickly draw a difference between them. So closed source has a well-defined development methodology. Since it is created by an organization, so they have a proper manner in which they create a software. In open source, we don't have any like procedural method. There is no hard and fast rule that you have to do this only. People come according to their interests, and they contribute according to their interests. There is extensive project documentation. Everything that they perform is very well documented. And in open source, since there are a large number of people working on a project, there is little project documentation. Then we have analyst defined requirements. In closed source projects, there is particular test case that software must pass through. In open source, people come across see, when there are a lot of people, their minds work in different directions. So in open source, security automatically increases, because when there are large number of people, there are large number of test cases. So in open source projects, softwares are like passing all the security measures. that you can think about. Little project planning or scheduling, much effort put into project planning and scheduling. So that is the difference between closed source and open source. Yeah, that was about it. Thank you. You can connect with me if you have any queries. And now I'll hand over this session to Arpit Ujjwal. He'll be telling you more about it. Arpit, please take over.
Yeah, my screen is visible.
Yes, Arpit, it's visible.
Okay. So, hello guys. First of all, thank you all for joining this session. My name is Arpit Ujjwal and I am the web dev lead at GDSC NIET. So, without wasting any time, let's jump right into our today's topic of discussion, which is Git and GitHub. As Rishika already briefed you all about open source development and contributions, to start with all of that, first we need to understand the basics, or you can say the foundation of development, and that is working in a group or a team and collaborating with others. So that brings us to our very first topic, which is version control system. So I've decided to have a different approach for this session. That is, we'll be covering each question at a time, which most of us beginners face while learning about these technologies. Our first question is, what is version control system? A version control system is a software tool which maintains a record of changes that we make to the code. Let's take an example and understand this more briefly. So all of us might know that most of the apps that we use on our mobile phones get updated to a newer version after every while. So to keep a record of changes with each update, developers use version control system. This gives a lot of benefits, like if there is any bug or crashes, either you can easily track or revert it back to the previous version. But if this wasn't the case, you might be going through the whole source code and scratching your head and thinking what went wrong. Now you might be wondering, why is it so important that we are discussing about it? Which brings us to our next question: why version control system is so important? So basically, it helps in tracking any changes made to the source code and makes it easy to collaborate with other people to work effectively, and also reduce the chance of error, which ultimately helps in increasing the quality of final product. Now coming on to some benefits that we get by using version control tool. Firstly, as I already mentioned, it enhances efficient collaboration. Then it provides us with ability to communicate in a better manner, and we can easily assist each other whenever it's needed. And finally, it reduces the possibility of error and conflicts, as every change is easily traceable and can easily be fixed or revert back. Now let's discuss the types of version control system that are available to us. First, local version control system. It is the simplest and most basic type of version control system, which only keeps changes to file under revision control. Second, centralized version control system. It only contains one repository and each user gets their own copy of code, and they can commit the changes made to the code or just update it. Third, distributed version control system. In this type of version control, multiple repositories are created. Each user have their own personal repo, but here just committing the code won't work. We'll have to push it from a local repository to the central or main repository. This is really important, and we'll be discussing this further and its application, which are Git and GitHub. Coming on to our next topic of discussion, which is Git. So what exactly is Git? As we've previously discussed, Git is a distributed version control system that is free and open source. That means each of the developer working on a project gets their own copy of code using Git. It was created by Linus Torvalds, who is the developer of Linux OS kernel in 2005. Here is some basics of how Git actually works. So, working tree. You can imagine it like a library which contains the file you are working on along with other files of that project. Each time you access any file, it can be said you are in a working tree. Staging area. This is this contains all of the new and modified code in which uh, all of the code that is added and waiting to be committed. Now, repository. We have used this term a lot, and here's what it actually means in a simpler language. A repository contains all the file of the developer, or we can say it is a database of that project. Either it could be local or remote, depends on the kind of work that you're doing. So stages of a repository. There are three stages: modified, staged, and committed. Modified is when we make changes without reflecting it on the original code. Staged is when the modified files are ready to be further finalized. To do that, we use git add command. And committed is when we finalize the changes and make a log of it into the repository using the command git commit. Don't worry, all of these commands would be further explained by Ashutosh using git bash. Installing Git is really simple. Just head over to the official website gitscm.com and follow through the steps that they're mentioned. Or if it's already installed on your system like Mac, you can open up the terminal and write the command git version to check if it's installed. So my final topic of discussion today will be GitHub. So again, another question, what is GitHub? It is a platform built on top of Git that allows developers to manage and communicate their projects with the rest of the globe. And now it has also become like a social media where people from around the globe share their code and meaningful projects. Now you might be asking this question that what is the difference between Git and GitHub? For that, I've mentioned an example of email versus Gmail. Git is a version control system, and GitHub is a cloud-based hosting service that helps in managing those Git repositories. Also, some alternatives for GitHub are mentioned here. So now let's get started with GitHub. For that, head over to github.com. Here you might be asked to sign up, or if you have an account already, that's great. This is the homepage you will be seeing. Here we'll click on this new button to create a new repository. First, we'll give it a name, any random name, and you can select if you want to make this repository public or private. Here I'm selecting public and just click on to create repository. That's it. Congratulations. You have created your first repository. So that's all from my side. Now Ashutosh will be explaining you a few Git commands using Git bash, and later we will be using those commands to generate our first pull request. So stay tuned for that. And if you have any queries or doubts, you can connect with me on these platforms. Thank you all. Over to you, Ashutosh.
Hey guys, Ashutosh this side. I'm a GDSC app dev co-lead. So is my screen visible?
Not yet.
Okay. And now is it?
Yes, now it's visible.
Okay, so guys, today I'll be explaining you some of the basic Git commands that a developer uses in his daily life. Okay, so moving further, the first command I'm gonna explain is git init. So what it basically does, it will create a new local git empty repository. That means it will create a .git file in your particular project, but you can't see that file because it's always a hidden file. Using this command, Git will be installed to your project, and further you can perform all the Git operations in that project. So as you can see, a project, I have made a project named Git guide, and there is a folder, there's a file named new.txt. So to initialize the empty Git repository in this folder, we'll be using git init command. As you can see, our empty Git repository has been initialized. So after this, moving further, the next command is git status. So what it will do? The git status command will display all the list of changed files with the files that are yet to be stacked or they are yet to be committed. This keeps track of all the stacked, unstacked, and untracked files. So as you can see here, it's on branch master, and there is an untracked file named new.txt, and there is nothing committed yet, and there is a untracked file present that is, as I told you, it's new.txt. So to add this file, I'll be using git add command. So what this command will do, it will add the untracked files to this tagging area. So as there are two types of git add commands. The first is git add and the file name. This command will just add this particular file to this tagging area. But if you want to add more than one file at a time, you will be using git add dot command. So what this command will do, this command will add more than one files at a time in this tagging area. So as you can see, to know the status, we'll again run the status command. As you can see, there are no untracked files, and the new.txt file is already now is in stacking area, and there are changes that we have to commit. So to commit the changes that we had made in this file, we'll be using git commit command. And you can also add a message that will be explaining your new change. So I'll add a message. This is first commit. So this is the basic command of committing a change to a file. So after running this command, see, as you can see, with the message, this is first commit, one file has been changed, and there is a commit that has been pushed to this file. So now if you will see the status, it is showing there is nothing to commit, as we have committed all the changes and we have already added all the files to this tagging area. So this was just a basic command that you must know as a developer. So the next command is git log. What this command will do, this command is used to see repositories history by listing certain commits details. That means you can see all your history, all your commit histories with particular emails, time and date using this command. So if I'll run git log in my this file, as you can see, a commit has been made in the branch master, and the author, it's me, and it has been made on Friday, October 22nd at 6:39 p.m. And this is the commit message that we had committed in the past commit. So this were the basic commands. Moving further, the next command is git clone command. So the usage of the further commands that I'll be explaining will be demonstrated by Arpit. So the next command is git clone command. And this command is used to copy a repository if the repository lies on a remote server. So suppose you visited GitHub and you found a repository interesting, which is from another author. So if you want to copy that particular repository in your system, you'll use git clone command. And how we'll use that? We'll type git clone and the URL of that particular file or the URL of that particular project that we had seen on GitHub. So after cloning that command, the project will be copied to our system and we can make all the changes that we desire to make. And moving further, the next command is git remote. So when you'll clone the repository will be having some remote servers or some remote URLs. So to view all that remote URLs, you'll run git remote command. And this command will let you view all the remote repositories that is now connected to that particular project. And the next command that we'll talk about is git push. So this is a commonly used command if you clone a project and you want to push your changes to that particular project's author. So you will be using git push command. So what this will do, git push command is used to send local commits to the master branch of the remote repository. So as you can see by the name, it will push all the changes that we had made in our system in that project to the master branch of that particular remote repository that is already on GitHub or any URLs. Okay, and the author will be able to view all that commits. So the next command that we are going to talk about is git pull. So what this git pull will do, it will merge all the changes present in git repository to the local working directory. So it is just opposite of that pull, of the push. So what we do in push, we send information from our system to that particular remote server or the remote repository. But in pull, we'll copy all the changes that author will make on that particular repository to the changes that we had already made in our local directory. We'll merge that both changes and all the changes after merging will be shown in our system. So as push and pull the name suggests, push will push your commits and pull will take the commits of other. So moving to the next command. Okay, so this was all about some of the basic commands. And the basic usage of pull, push, clone will be explained by Arpit. So he's gonna take over. Arpit, please just explain the usage of these commands.
Yeah, Ashutosh. Uh, so now that we know some of the basic commands for Git, we'll be generating a pull request that is contributing to a remote repository for a website that I've created for this event. So this is the website that I've created, and we'll be generating a pull request to add our name into the contributors list. Okay, so yeah, so let's head over to the repository for which we'll be creating a pull request. This is the repository. Yeah, so the first thing we'll do is fork it. So forking means adding this repository to your own profile. Yeah, so it's added onto my profile. And now head over to this button. Here it will show the link that we'll use to clone the repository. So now I'll open the terminal. I'll change the directory to desktop. Yeah. So now I'll use the command git clone and paste the link of this repository. So it's cloning. Yeah. So the repository is now locally on my system, and now I can make changes to it. So to do that, I'll open a code editor. I'm using Visual Studio Code. So here is the Git repository. I'll open it. So I have kept this task very simple. All I have to do is just come here. You can just copy this line of code and write your name onto it. Anything that you like. Yeah. So now I have made a change. I'll save it and open up the terminal. So we'll first check the status of this git by using the command git status. So it is showing that there is one untracked file which is modified index.html. First I'll add it. So now the file is staged. Then I'll use git git commit with a message my name. So to share this code onto my remote repository, the forked repository, I'll use the command git push origin main. So now you can see the changes that I made are pushed onto the repository that I forked. I'll reload it. And here you can see it's showing my commit name, my name. Now to generate a pull request, all you have to do is go over here and see here it's written contribute. So just click on it. It's already showing that this branch is one commit ahead of DSC NIET. So just click on to open pull request. You can also see the changes that you've made. Like I have added one line of code, one addition. And now just click on to create pull request. You can leave a comment if you want. I'd like if you can leave your email ID so that we can contact you in future. And also you can write your name so that we know who created the pull request. Yeah. So now the pull request is already generated. You can see this is the origin repository, and when I go over to pull request, here it is. Here's my pull request. So congratulations. I hope you follow these steps to create your first repository, and we'll be sharing the link to this repository so that you can also contribute and take part in Hacktoberfest. Now, over to you, Ankita.
Hello everyone, I hope that you are enjoying this session. So my name is Ankita Saloni and I'll be telling more about the opportunities in open source. Let me share my screen first. Can you see my screen?
No, it's not visible.
Okay, just a second. Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So, if you don't know about me, I'm the GDSC lead of DSC and IT. I'm also a Generation Google Apex scholar, a former machine learning internet omdina, GitHub campus expert, and author. So, coming back to the topic, so we are done with all the basics of Git and GitHub and what is open source, what is closed source, how things work, and how to make contributions to an existing repo using Git commands. So, was that interesting? I found it really interesting. And so let's discuss why do we need to work on our basics and contribute more to open source. So we'll discuss some opportunities in open source and how we can celebrate the force of open source. The first and foremost thing, Hacktoberfest. So Hacktoberfest is a month-long virtual festival event to celebrate open source contributions which happens every year in October. The participants are required to submit 4 or more PRs in order to receive the exclusive Hacktober swags that are sent from Intel, Dev, and DigitalOcean. So earlier, we used to make PR in any of the repositories that is public on GitHub, GitLab, or any such platform. And if you made 4 or more pull requests, you were eligible for the Hacktoberfest swags. But due to a lot of spamming in the yesteryear, some rules and regulations have been changed. So you can the contribution will only be counted if you're making contributions to a repository that has a Hacktoberfest label on it, or your pull request is marked as Hacktoberfest accepted. The maturity time for every pull request is 14 days, and if all 4 of your PRs pass that level, you are eligible to get the swag. However, if 2 of your PRs are marked as spam by any project admin, then you are not allowed to participate in Hacktoberfest this year. So make sure that you contribute in a quality purpose, and whatever contribution you make that will enhance the features and the quality of the project. Then, Google Summer of Code, often known as GSOC. It is one of the most prestigious open source programs, and basically it's a global program focused on bringing more student developers into open source software development, where they can work with open source organizations on a 10-week long programming project and receive stipend on successfully completing them. So earlier, like before COVID period, the stipend used to vary from 3,000 US dollars to 6,000 US dollars. However, during the COVID time, in order to ensure more participation and allow more students to participate and contribute and to help them financially, they have reduced the stipend, that is to $1,500, and also the working hours, so that more students can contribute to that. Outreachy. So if you haven't heard about it, it is a diversity initiative that provides paid remote internships to the people subjected to systemic bias and are impacted by underrepresentation in the technical industry where they are living. So it is a very amazing initiative to help the women in tech and the underrepresented communities, most of them belonging to LGBTQ plus communities. And if you are a student, if you don't have a full-time job, you can participate in Outreachy. However, if you have participated in GSOC or Outreachy earlier, then you are not eligible to participate in Outreachy. Also, when you have a full-time job, you're not allowed to participate in Outreachy. So the internships are 3 months long, where both the interns and mentors work remotely. It happens in two phases. One is the winter season, and the second one is summer season, and it lasts for almost 3 months. And you can apply to it depending upon the hemisphere that you live in. That is the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. The stipends provided are of 6,000 US dollars, which were earlier divided into 5,500 for the interns and $500 for attending any of the conferences. That is the travel grant. MLH Fellowship. If you have not heard about MLH Fellowship, then you are definitely missing on to something. The MLH Fellowships is a remote internship alternative for aspiring technologists where they spend 12 weeks building their skills by collaborating on real world projects. You can apply to various tracks such as the open source track or the explorer track or the production engineering, and the applications keep on opening for the fall season, for the winter, for the summer or the spring season. And it's a very good alternative, very good opportunity where the teams are divided into pods and they try to solve real life problem by working on various tech stacks. The entire team is divided into pods and they participate in a lot of hackathons, and also a stipend up to $5,000 is provided on a need basis. Another alternative is GitHub externship, so you can also apply to that if you are in third year and are eligible to participate in that. Then Fosasia Code Heat. Code Heat is a coding contest for Fosasia projects on GitHub, which is further separated into 2-month periods. The participants contributing at least 5 pull requests can get a digital certificate, and with more than 10 pull requests, developers can win awesome prizes. Also, if your contribution graph has been really good and your contributions help them to enhance the quality of their projects, then you can also get an internship opportunity or a full-time opportunity in their Singapore or Vietnam offices. Then coming to GirlScript Summer of Code, that is GSSOC. GirlScript Summer of Code is a 3-month-long open source program during summers conducted by GirlScript Foundation. It was started in 2008 with an aim to help beginners get started with open source development while encouraging diversity. Throughout the program, participants contribute to different projects under guidance of experienced mentors. So if you are a newbie or a complete beginner and are quite overwhelmed by open source or large code bases, then it's the perfect thing you can do to get started with open source. It generally starts in March, and the contribution is you can make contributions till May end. What you can do, you can choose the projects based on your tech stack. You can grab some issues and then you can work on them, raise PRs, and you can also ask mentors to help you or guide you if you find anything that that is tricky in that. So it helps you to contribute to beginner friendly issues or the good first issues and all. Also, if you're doing good in that, you get prizes, swags, and an opportunity to get a free ticket to Contributors Meet or GirlScript India Summit. Then, last but not the least, KWOC, that is Kharagpur Winter of Code. The Kharagpur Winter of Code by IIT Kharagpur is the annual 5 weeks long program where students new or unknown to free and open source software contribute to coding projects registered in the program by experienced mentors or project owners and gain experience in contributing to open source software. So it's quite similar to Google Summer of Code, where you work on something, you claim issues, you work on them and make progress, and then you have to write a blog to justify what you did and how you did, and then you submit the blog. And if they find that your blog passes certain parameters, then they give you certificate for stating that you have successfully completed the program. So that was it from my side. So these are the topics that we covered today. That is all the basics of Git, the workflow of GitHub, Git terminologies and commands, creating a pull request, and the opportunities in open source. Any questions, anyone? If you don't have any questions as of now, then if you like today's session, you can connect with me on all these socials: GitHub, Twitter, LinkedIn, Medium, and Polywork. You can reach out to me for collaborating on a project, for speaker sessions, or one-to-one discussion and mentee-mentor sessions. Thank you. If you have any questions, then please let me know. Okay, guys, if you don't have any question, then I guess everything is clear to you. So let's come back to the task for the certificates. Arpit, would you like to give a brief about this?
Yeah, so one second. So the link to the repository is already shared in the chat box. If you like, if you want to contribute, you can, and we'll be sharing the certificates to the people who will successfully generate a pull request, and I'll be personally merging that pull request. And as soon as you share it, as mentioned, please add your email ID so that we can share the certificate to your email. Any doubts or any questions, please ask. Okay. Yeah, so Shivam, if you want to install your Git on your system, I guess you are having Windows, so you can just head over to getscm.com, and either you can install it by using the git install command, or you can just download the installer, and it will be done. That's it. It doesn't take any time. It will hardly take 5 seconds. Any other questions related to Git or GitHub? I guess Ankita, that's all.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. So moderators, can you please share the resources list with all the participants? So guys, this is the resource list and all the links that have been used in the slides or whatever we have discussed. You can get an overview of that. Also, we have, I guess Arpit has clearly stated the task that every participant has to raise a successful PR with their name and email address. Only if they complete their task, then only they are eligible to get a certificate for attending this session. I hope the instructions are clear. If you have any doubt, any queries, or anything that you want us to address, kindly let us know. We'll be meeting 3-4 more minutes before wrapping up the session.
Yeah, so one more thing, guys. I'm sharing one more link. Yeah, this link is for another repository. You can also create a pull request on that. We have created some folders according to your interest. There is content, algorithm, design, or you can also contribute in documentation, whatever you feel like. Um this Git repository will be Hacktober approved, so you'll be getting the pull request points as you have to complete, I guess, 4 pull requests. So yeah, you can also contribute to this repository also.
So Richa, basically what happens, pull requests are the changes and everything that you want to push to someone else's project or repository. It's basically anything that you wish to contribute to that project. Divya, you can raise the PR till 12 a.m. today. Will not be considering any pull request received after that. Thank you. Any other questions? So I guess guys, there are no more questions left. If you still have any questions, then we are here till 7:15. You can either unmute yourself and ask, or you can write these in the chat box.
Shout out to Akash Srivastav for creating his first pull request.
Everyone, thank you for joining us. That was it for today. I hope you liked this session. If you have any feedback, anything that you want us to know, then kindly mention in the chat box or you can DM us as well. The session has ended. Feel free to leave. Thank you.